Karuja had not lied. Warutteri was a charming village, small and quiet, that took no significant part in the tourism industry. The place was for people to live, and Gabriel found it refreshing. "I hope you all enjoyed your hike," Karuja said as they entered the village square, a sizable patch of land with a fountain and sundial in the centre.
"Oh, it was lovely. I especially loved the cave. I've never felt so snug in my life," Risotti replied.
Gabriel agreed. It was astounding how perfect the temperature had been, without any technological aids whatsoever. Portugal Cave was carved by water over thousands upon thousands of years, leaving behind a beautiful display of stalactites and stalagmites. Gabriel was drawn from the pleasant memories by a large group of people moving in his peripheral vision. They had cameras and microphones, and Gabriel immediately knew what had happened. Someone had been recording his standoff with the Atoru and posted it on the internet. "Oh, fuck this shit," Gabriel hissed. No one else understood him, but they could make an educated guess based on his context and tone. He eyed the nearest alleyway. He could outrun them easily, especially those weighed down by the cameras. They were no doubt rolling, though, and the sight of him running away with his non-existent tail between his legs would probably make him look pathetic. "Could be worth it," Gabriel mumbled, as the crowd got closer and the sweat trickled down his neck. Rather than leg it, Gabriel took a deep breath and stilled himself with the barrage of questions he was about to receive.
"Come on, let's go," Nish said,
grabbing hold of Gabriel's arm and pulling him away from the oncoming horde.
"Go, I've got this,"
Risotti said, as Nish pulled Gabriel into a side alley and through a crowd of locals. The last thing Gabriel heard Risotti say was,
"Tired and will not be taking any questions at this time."
"Do you think Risotti used to be in public relations? She seems very good at this," Gabriel asked, as Nish let go of his hand.
"No, she just keeps on top of local politics. She's seen hundreds of politicians say the same thing," Nish replied.
"How do you know that?" Gabriel inquired. He could not recall Risotti saying anything like that.
"She told me during our stay at the spa," Nish explained. "I do feel bad for ditching Karuja like that," she added.
"We'll give him 5 stars. He'll be fine," Gabriel replied. "What about Risotti? Should we go back for her?" Gabriel asked.
"No, she'll be fine. They're not interested in her," Nish answered. "I would imagine they already dispersed." "How did they even know we would be here? That's what I want to know," Nish questioned,
keeping her eyes peeled for any bothersome reporters. "This is the VIP route's endpoint. There was nowhere else we could be," Gabriel explained. "Got any ideas? Because I do not want to be looking over my shoulder every 5 seconds, he asked, looking behind him. Batista was having fun, hiding behind some decorative shrubbery, pretending to be a secret agent. "There," Nish said, pointing towards a modest building with the word library written on it. "You sure? Not exactly the most secure place," Gabriel pointed out.
"True, but it's a library. They won't be able to hyo you with questions, or they'll be kicked out," Nish explained.
"I have got nothing else. Let's do it. Come on, Batista, I'll read you a story," Gabriel said. Batista chortled in delight and followed them. "And so the woodsman cut the big bad wolf's belly open, and pulled Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother out," Gabriel said, miming an axe coming. Pista's attention was utterly focused on the tale, and she yelled, "Yeah, get him!" No one shushed them. They were counting the children's sections, and therefore given more leeway. Gabriel told her to keep it down. However, Pista would only be able to get away with so much. The woodsman and Red Riding Hood then filled the wolf's belly with stones and sewed him back up, and when the wolf awoke, he was scared by the woodsman, ran into a river and drowned, Gabriel said, finishing the story. "Was that really a children's story?" asked Nish. When Gabriel first suggested that he tell Pista a human story, she had been just as interested as her daughter. Now she wondered if this might explain human recklessness. In Nish's opinion, being told from a young age that running at a problem with a weapon was the answer to most of life's problems was not the healthiest approach. "Yeah, pretty much every kid heard it, I think. Don't quote me on that," Gabriel replied. "Why mythology?" Gabriel asked, focusing all his attention on Nish. "Sorry?" Nish asked, confused by the sudden shift in subject. "Why mythology out of all xenopological studies? Why mythology?" Gabriel explained. "Also, why is it called xenopology? Xeno means strange or alien, and yet xenopology includes your own species." "Xeno was decided on because we're all strangers to one another, even to ourselves," Nish explained, answering his last question first. "Bit pretentious that last bit, I know, but that's the reason I was given." "As for why I chose myths and legends," Nish said, thinking about it for a moment, "I like stories, I like imagination. I just feel like it gets to the heart of people if you know what people believed and all that," Nish answered. It was not the most in-depth answer, but Gabriel felt he understood. "What about you? Why gardening?" Nish asked as Gabriel's PDA buzzed. Gabriel was about to answer when he realized who it was from. "Risotti. She says the Noah have dispersed, and she thinks it best we meet up at the train station, and that I should prepare a statement," Gabriel explained, making air quotes at the unfamiliar word. "What, like a politician's statement? Why?" asked Gabriel, looking from the message to Nish. "To keep the press off you. Remember what Erela told you? We tend to accept the first logical answer we are given," Nish replied, forming fists with her 4 hands and rotating her wrist. Gabriel supposed those were Tufanda air quotes. Gabriel rapped his fingers against his forehead, sighed, and said, "I am woefully underqualified for this."
"Don't worry, we will help you,"
Nish said, tapping Gabriel's head with her antenna.
"Yeah,"
Pista added, copying her mother's actions. "Not quite how I imagined spending my afternoon," Gabriel commented, as he hit send and delivered his statement to every major news outlet on the planet. To cut a long story short, what Gabriel had written was that the safety standards of Minigrad were not to blame for what happened, and that you should never antagonize the animals.
"Well, it's better than prepping for an interview,"
Rizzotti added, through Nish's PDA. "Ain't that the truth?" Gabriel replied, shaking his head.
"Hold on, some of the news crews are checking their equipment," Rizzotti said.
She was currently scoping out some of the bigger groups, ready to inform Gabriel if they got close to the library.
"I think they're leaving," Rizzotti noted.
"That was fast," Nish said.
"Not that I'm complaining. I do love books, but not more than a full belly." "I'd give it a half hour, but if you're that hungry, I won't tell you what to do," Rizzotti said, giving her 2 cents.
Gabriel stood up and walked to the nearest window. He couldn't see anything of interest, but he had not expected to. "Where do you want to meet up?" Gabriel asked.
"There's a lovely little spot by the river, and they make just the best fiesta cake,"
Rizzotti explained. Gabriel slumped his head, a faint smile on his face, and asked, "Just how much cake have you been eating?"
"I'm not going to answer that. Just walk along the west side of the river. You see me sitting outside,"
Rizzotti replied, and hung up. Gabriel was about to make a bad joke when both his and Nish's PDA vibrated. "What now?" Gabriel complained. His mood shifted quickly from annoyance to excitement. Erila had sent him a message. He glanced up at Nish, and he knew she had gotten one as well.